Our Trip to the Moon by Bob Thurber. When my brother and I were barely more than babies, our grandfather took us to the moon. I don't expect anyone to believe me, and frankly, I don't remember how we got there, what we did for air, or how we got back. And neither, sadly, does my brother. This was years ago, right after our mother had died in a horrible accident, so we were still pretty young, my brother barely walking, me just turned 3, and at those ages a person's sleep patterns are still pretty crazy, so I'm guessing we snoozed on the ride there and back. If we went in a rocket or some kind of spaceship, we probably had padded seats or comfy little beds with straps to hold us in. But if we got to the moon by a ladder, then I guess my grandfather must have carried us, each on a shoulder, like 2 uneven sacks of grain. I do remember we were dressed in heavy fur coats with hoods over clinging knitted caps, and that we wore rubber boots and wool mittens with long colorful scarves secured around half our faces, and that it was very dark and very cold. My brother was petrified of the dark, and he's still afraid of it now, and though I've never been afraid of anything, I didn't like the extreme cold or the strangeness of the place. "I want to go home," I said boldly. "We just got here," Grandpa said. "Trey wants to go too," I said, pointing at my brother, who was clinging to Grandpa's leg like a bear cub stuck up a tree, and whimpering like one, too. "Listen to me," Grandpa said. "This is a great place. I used to bring your mother here when she was a little girl. She loved it, and I'll tell you why. Nothing changes here. Not ever. Unlike Earth, there's no erosion. No wind or rain, no storms or volcanic activity to shift what's beneath your feet and change the surface. Nothing ever gets washed away or covered over or swallowed up. Nothing gets folded back inside itself, then buried and forgotten. Have a quick look around. The footprints made by the first Apollo astronauts are right over there, and they'll remain visible for as long as the moon exists." Then he grinned, like that crazy cat in that crazy story. "Your mother's footprints are here too," he said. "See if you can find them." Then Grandpa just let us run loose. We went together, my brother and I, holding hands, and we found our mother's footsteps faster than if we had a map. We placed our feet inside her prints, which weren't much larger than our own. We hopped a few strides, tracing her trail, leaping higher and easier than I expected. Then we got tired of that and just played in the dust like it was snow, stomping around, leaving patterns, making snow angels, kicking up so much moon dust that it floated around us like we were inside a snow globe that someone had given a really hard shake. I imagine he did that, my grandfather. He was always shaking things up. Hello there. Welcome to No Extra Words, the Flash Fiction Podcast. My name is Chris Baker-Dersch. I'm your producer and editor. If you are here for part 4 of a Christmas serial, don't worry, it is straight ahead. I played with you a little bit this week and gave you your short story of the episode before, bringing you the conclusion of a Christmas serial, which is coming right up. But I love that story, Our Trip to the Moon, and I love it for the holidays, and I love it to pair with this North Pole story. I love its surreal quality. I just wanted to kick you off this episode with that. It makes me think of my 1-year-old who has a really, really special relationship with his grandpa. If you have not heard parts 1, 2, and 3 of A Christmas Serial, I want you to do something for me. Turn this episode off right now. You can come back to us. We'll still be here. And go get episodes 24, 25, and 26 and get parts 1, 2, and 3 so you can be all caught up. Because what you're about to hear is the conclusion and the culmination of a story we've presented to you this Christmas season where all the loose ends get tied up. I'm going to do a blog post just kind of closing out A Christmas Serial and release it probably close to the time of this episode, which is going to be not too far ahead of Christmas Eve. But I just want to say before I go that it's been a pleasure bringing this to you. And I want to share a little story. One of the things I do when I'm not sitting here talking into my mic is I sing in a community choir. And as of this recording, we're a couple of days post our Christmas concert. So for any musicians out there, you know, this is the time of year where your line is, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't make that party. I have rehearsal." And the holidays don't really start till your last performance is over. And in our dress rehearsal for the Christmas concert, our director kind of gave us his come to Jesus meeting where he tells you all the things that you're not quite doing yet that you need to learn how to do in the next 24 hours. And our closing number of that concert was "Let There Be Peace on Earth." An old song, been around a while, often pops up at Christmas. Pretty typical to throw into a Christmas program that we put together in August and have been working on ever since. And he said, this tends to happen. Every year this happens, where you put together a program in August, you start singing Christmas music, you wonder if you're crazy, and then as you get closer, some meaning develops that you weren't expecting. And this song, "Let There Be Peace on Earth," he picked because it's a cool arrangement of a pretty song, nice closing to a Christmas concert. And in the months between when we started rehearsing it and when we performed it, it started showing up everywhere. It popped up on commercials. It popped up at memorial services. It popped up at vigils. It popped up at protests. I'm not going to lie, it's been a tough Christmas season for a lot of folks out there. And at the time I'm recording this, it's a long way from over. And it's been interesting to present this story, which I also planned back in the summer to put on the podcast at Christmas, with the way the Christmas season has worked. I think if I had known what Christmas was going to feel like this year, I might not have picked it. But in an interesting way, it feels right for this Christmas season. I think I can only speak for me, but I think I at least needed a little bit of reminder of some whimsy and some hope. And I'm hoping this is what A Christmas Serial has been able to provide for you. I'm hoping this story's life is not over. I'm hoping it will appear somewhere else someday in some other form. But in the meantime, if it's brought some joy into your holiday season, that makes me happy. Like I say, I'm going to do a follow-up blog post to really give my thanks and give you some background for people who want to know more. But before I bring you part 4, I want to say a big thank you to Sean Cowling, Jody Brooks, Benjamin Tosh, and Bob Thurber, who provided the wonderful short stories that went alongside A Christmas Serial this season. And I want to give musical credits to the U.S. Marine Corps Band for "We Wish You a Merry Christmas," and to our theme music, which is about to undergo a New Year's change. So we're saying goodbye to our theme music, Reverie Small Theme by Ghost, and thank you for being our theme music in this first 6 months of the No Extra Words podcast. We will be back next week with a New Year's episode and some announcements going forward. In the meantime, wishing you the happiest of Christmases, wherever yours is taking you. And I now am proud to bring you the conclusion of A Christmas Serial.
Previously on
A Christmas
Serial.
Teacher Patty in Elf School always says that humans are dangerous, but I don't think she's right. Most elves never get to see humans. We are a big secret from them, but a couple of them landed right here in Christmastown. They didn't even come by reindeer, but by car, whatever that is. And one of them walked right into the middle of our school Christmas program rehearsal. I knew just what to do with him. My name is Justine, and my cousin Rochelle runs things at the Playhouse, so I was able to help her. I've been asked to help again. See, Gerald, who is sort of the elf in charge, thinks these 2 kids from Centerville are such a big threat that he's actually canceled Christmas, which is really strange because now it's Christmas Eve and none of the grown-ups know what to do without work and stuff. Duncan, he's the oldest elf in Christmastown, has a plan to put the whole thing right, and he asked for my help. It's hard to know who to listen to when all the grown-ups in your life tell you different things, but Duncan is so old he's seen everything, so I think he's right. He better be anyway, because things are really weird around here, and while I like adventure as much as the next elf girl, I'm really looking forward to things getting back to normal. A Christmas Serial Part 4, Fancy Sleigh Driving. In Justine's mind, the entire future of Christmas rested squarely on her tiny shoulders, and she was not about to let her new friends down. She was ready. It was Christmas Eve morning, and as Justine walked to school, the town felt weirdly quiet. The factory did not buzz and hum as it ordinarily did. The Christmas deliveries were ready to go, and without anything to do, the hard-working elves who staffed the factory had gone home. There was no loading, no lists to double-check, and no last-minute packing. They were ready for Christmas to come, but not certain if it would. Christmastown was waiting. At Justine's home, however, things were merrier than normal. With the day off from work, her mom had found boxes of ornaments and set up a Christmas tree in their living room. Suddenly there were mysterious wrapped packages and a kitchen filled with good things to eat. Justine's best dress was ironed and hanging in the closet, ready for her to wear to the party. Everyone she knew planned on being at the party. Well, almost everyone. As the students filed out for fun time, Justine looked over her shoulder at her teacher, who sat at her desk correcting papers with a large red pen. She looked tired. Teacher Patty? For the first time in her life, Justine felt shy. Patty jumped, startled. "Sorry, Justine, did you need something?" "No, but my mom, she—" Justine was not a good liar. She took a deep breath and remembered what Cousin Roshi was always saying about feeling the performance deep down in your bones. "My mom wanted to know if you had plans for tonight. It's Christmas Eve, you know." Teacher Patty laughed, but her eyes were still sad. "Yes, I know, Justine. Please tell your mother I'm all right, but I don't think I'll make it to the party. I just want a cup of tea and a hot bath. That's about all the Christmas I can handle, I'm afraid." Oh. Justine felt sad for Teacher Patty. She hoped what she was doing would help. "My mom, she has to go to the party tonight, but she made this dinner, and there's no one to eat it. Well, no one but my uncle. My mom says no one should eat alone, especially at Christmas, and she thought you might not have to go to the party, and you might like to come and have some food with my uncle, to keep him company." Justine didn't have an uncle. She had 4 nosy and very loud aunts who liked to kiss her on the cheeks and leave ugly lipstick stains. But Adam had insisted it wasn't really a lie. Back in Centerville, he had told her, we sometimes call neighbors aunts and uncles, if we like them. Anyway, Justine knew her mom would have invited both Gerald and Teacher Patty if she knew how lonely they were. But her mom couldn't know about the plan until it was over. Teacher Patty rubbed her forehead. "That's very nice of your mom, Justine, but I don't think... My uncle works very hard. He's director of security and communications at the factory, and that's an important job. He almost never has Christmas off, except this year because, well, you know, and my mom thinks it's just an awful shame for him to be alone." When coaching Justine, both Adam and Karen had made it clear that the key was making sure Teacher Patty knew who her uncle was. Once she did, they insisted she would change her mind. Justine wasn't sure she believed them, but it worked. The minute Teacher Patty heard what Justine's uncle did for a living, she looked up from her stack of papers for the first time. "What's your uncle's name?" she asked. "Gerald." "Oh." Teacher Patty fiddled with her necklace. "Well, we can't let your mother down now, can we?" "No." Justine stayed in character. "She said we'd be leaving for the party around 5:30, and that she would leave dinner all set up for you. My uncle should be there at 6. "Tell your mother thank you," said Teacher Patty, who was busy pulling her long hair out of the knot in the back of her head and gently teasing it with her fingers. She turned to the mirror behind her desk and tilted her head, looking critically at herself. 5:30 should give me enough time," she mumbled. "Merry Christmas, Teacher Patty," called Justine as she left the room, smiling. "Dear Gerald, I cannot thank you enough for your kindness to me over the past few days. I would like to repay you by inviting you to dine with me this evening, Christmas Eve at 6 o'clock. I know how busy you are, but it is my wish for neither of us to spend the holiday alone. My address is 601 Gingerbread Road. I sincerely hope to see you there. Yours, Patty. I like it, said Karen. I hope we're right about this. We are, said Duncan, as long as we are certain she will be there. She will be. Justine is a born actress. Wonderful. Other distractions? I told Gwen she absolutely needed to make sure Santa's uniform was clean and pressed. Since he isn't scheduled to fly tonight, he should be in his dress suit, and getting it ready should take her all day. You're sure? I had Marvin leave it on the barn floor. Excellent. Where is Marvin? In the barn with his disguise, bonding with the reindeer and waiting for the go sign. Heaven help us that it's all on his shoulders. If he hasn't managed to tip the sleigh over yet, he'll be ready. Adam ran in breathless. Everything is set. Santa's down in the Naughty and Nice Center. He said he could use a few minutes in there without Gerald and Alexander driving him to distraction. Alexander has a trustworthy team and is coordinating packing upstairs, and Mari is working with him to make sure there's an escort. Alexander says without all the security in place, we have to have an escort, and an entire extra team of reindeer, which Mari says isn't a bad idea. Karen nodded. Sounds like you've been working hard. Are you and Kevin ready? It's going to be a really quick turnaround. Yeah. Adam looked wistful. I wish I could stay for the whole party. Karen pulled him into a hug. I know, but you have to know what you have done for us. Don't worry. We usually find ways to keep in touch. She wiped her eyes and turned to Kevin, who had just come in from helping Alexander. Are you ready? I don't know what you think I can do. You're the decoy, said Duncan. You're the only one who can do it. Why? He doesn't like me. He doesn't think I even believe in this place, which I don't. Not really. Kevin was defiant. Disbelief is a powerful weapon. Elves understand that. If Gerald thinks that someone who does not believe has unsupervised access to key places in the building, he will not leave you alone. And he won't notice if someone else, he glanced back at Adam, delivers this note. Me? Adam looked both proud and uncertain. Gwen is gone, so you'll have to do it. Put on a uniform, don't look him directly in the eye, don't talk, and whatever you do, don't call attention to yourself. Keep him focused on Kevin. Kevin snorted. That's something Adam could never do. He'll do it, Duncan was certain. He has no choice. Now go, quickly, both of you. Big guy, hello, Santa? Gerald could be heard shouting from down the hall. Santa looked up from the list and checked his watch. Right on time. His wife and her co-conspirators knew what they were doing. In here, he called. Gerald was huffing and puffing as he raced into the center. Looked, office, phew. Slow down and breathe. Santa offered him a chair. What's up? I need the night off. Going to a party? Asked Santa innocently. What? Oh, that, no, never would, never could, big guy, you know that. But, that is, a friend is not, well, needs me. His big ears flamed bright red. Oh, well, of course you must go immediately. Gerald sighed. His boss was really quite dense. I'm just not sure who will take security detail. I need to make sure we secure, well, you. Me? I don't mean any disrespect, sir, but we need to make sure you stay secure, protected, and out of trouble, finished Santa. Well, that is, yes. There will be a lot of pressure to fly tonight. I want to make sure you aren't, well, placed in an uncomfortable position. Certainly, Santa nodded. And you wouldn't want to have to worry about Christmas or me on such an important night, which is why you should take this. He held out what appeared to be a large gold pocket watch. Gerald's eyes widened. The Santa, sir? Sensory allocation notifying triangulation alarm. Your own invention, is it not? Yes, Gerald's chest puffed up a bit. But you've never agreed to wear it before. I thought you said it was a violation of your privacy. I'm willing to make an exception. Tonight is an important night, and you will feel better if you know where I am. I've set it to notify you if I leave the Naughty and Nice Center, as you can see. It even has this heartbeat gizmo, so you can tell if I've taken it off. Am I right? Yes, Gerald smiled. Your predecessor was rather mischievous in that regard, sir. Well, hopefully my using this will allow you to concentrate on your friend. Santa winked. May I say, sir, said Gerald, that you are a genius? Santa strapped the alarm to his wrist and tucked the pocket watch piece into Gerald's hand. Go, he said with a smile. Gerald did not need to be told twice. When he was completely certain his security chief was gone, Santa pressed a small button on his belt. Big red to Mighty M. We are go for pickup. Repeat, we are go for pickup. Roger that, said Marvin from the sleigh, spitting out a few white hairs from his fake beard. Mister, he whispered reverently to the captain of his team, this may be your biggest mission yet. Let's go, boys. Karen's home-cooked meal was delicious, but neither Patty nor Gerald paid much attention to the food. They only had eyes for each other, which was probably a good thing, because if either of them had looked out the window, they might just have caught a glimpse of the sleigh, whipping around the top floors of the factory with the white beard of what looked like Santa flapping in the wind. Sleigh loading was usually a stressful time, but with the party going on, packing up the handmade treasures of Christmastown was more festivity than work. The elves laughed as they loaded the sleigh, which bobbed around a bit more than usual. Santa was so excited he fairly danced, although he didn't say anything. The elves of Christmastown were happy to see things return to normal. Well, almost normal. A more festive version of normal. Adam was teaching every Christmas carol he knew, even the really annoying ones. Kevin was trying to eat all the food piled high on the tables of the factory's top floor. Duncan's 23 great-grandchildren were clustered around him and some of the older elves, begging for stories. The decorations were beautiful, especially the ropes and ropes of twinkle lights. Elves tend to be good with lighting. Santa was very sorry to be missing the party, but he did not dare leave the Naughty and Nice Center a minute before scheduled and set off the alarm in Gerald's breast pocket. He could see out the window, however, and his stomach churned at the sight of his precious sleigh and its priceless cargo at the whim of Marvin, the reindeer, and the wind. He turned away, willing himself not to look, and focused on the list. A clatter at the window announced Marvin's arrival. The sleigh seemed none the worse for wear, although Mister was looking at Santa with desperate eyes. "Everything is ready," Marvin called excitedly. "Everything is loaded. I did it." Santa gave the sleigh a once-over. "Where are Adam and Kevin?" "Ah, well, almost ready. They want you to pick them up at the upstairs window." "I don't think they wanted to ride while I was driving." "Well, we'll have to move quickly, but I can't really blame them for that. Move over. I don't want to ride with you driving either." Santa leaned out the window and settled himself into his familiar spot. Upstairs, the party was in full swing. Karen smiled when her husband appeared in the window. "Merry Christmas. Food?" "We don't have a second to lose," Santa said. "Get the boys into the sleigh. Gerald will be here any minute." Gerald's voice from the doorway was laced with sarcasm. "You almost got away with it." He glanced around the room at Christmastown assembled. "All of you. Fortunately, I had a person in place to warn me. You're not going anywhere. The roads are blocked." Everyone froze. Adam chewed his lip. It was Gwen. It had to be. That meant no Christmas. No ride home. Santa didn't move. He could never outrun an elf. "He's going," said a voice from behind the crowd. The voice of someone easy to miss. Someone who usually blended in. "The Christmas deliveries are ready," said Alexander, "and Adam and Kevin have to go home." "If we wandered into the human world, do you think they would let us go home?" fumed Gerald. "No. They stay. And if they are very good, I won't send them to Siberia." "They don't believe in us, not really," said Patty, who had run in behind Gerald. "We have to be a secret. If they stumble on what they don't believe in, we are finished. It isn't hard to see that. There's 2 of them now, but more will come. We have to separate. It's clear." The elves around her murmured in agreement. Festivity had somehow left the room, replaced by apprehension. Alexander pointed at Adam. "Does anyone on Earth look less dangerous than him? I can tell you he believes in a lot more than I do. Or did. Until this week." His eyes met Gerald's. "Look, I know you're scared. Doing things differently is scary. It's okay to say that. But let's not be paralyzed by fear. I'm chief of staff here, Gerald, and I need to get these kids home. But I'm not a security expert. Help me. Please." Gerald looked around the room. At a Christmastown he remembered. At what it had once looked like before stress and fear and overthinking had taken over. He glanced at Patty, who still looked frightened. "It's risky," he told her. "I can't deny that. But life is risky. Love is risky." She nodded, slowly. Gerald pressed a button on his belt. "Gwen, it's me. It's all right. Clear the roads." "Yes, that's what I said. We are go to fly tonight." "That's right. Yes, I know it's windy. I'll take care of it." He released the button and looked at Patty. "You okay?" She looked uncertain, but he took her hand. "It's okay. It's okay to believe. I believe in you, she said. Gerald cleared his throat. Well, big guy, we better get a move on. Can't be here all night. Are the boys ready? Justine and Rochelle rushed to hug Adam. Goodbye, goodbye, shouted Justine. Will you come back and sing? Duncan took the cap off his head and placed it on Adam's. I think we have to let him go now, he said in his soft voice. But promise you won't forget us, young sir. We need you. Never, promised Adam. He looked at his friends, Alexander, Duncan, Karen, even Gerald, who looked strange with a smile on his face. He could never forget any of them. Marvin gave Adam and Kevin a bear hug, knocking them into the sleigh. Santa climbed in after them, and like a rocket it shot off into the night. Everyone helped, but no one had the time to put all the security protocols in place. It was something of a risky ride, in fact. The elves of Christmastown could only hope that if you happened to glance up into the night sky and see that sleigh, you'd understand.